I have Alain joining me from Martify to talk about some of the stuff that they're bringing out to the Cardano ecosystem to make dApp development that much easier. They were actually the very first team to bring out a smart contract for NFT marketplaces, and other marketplaces such as JPEG Store picked that up and ran with it and built out a large ecosystem around it. And Martify decided to pivot where they were going and deliver all these tools for the Cardano ecosystem so that other developers can build some really cool things around it. Now, having that experience behind them, they're able to take on consultation jobs and help and work with other parts of the Cardano ecosystem. So they're a very well-versed dev team, and now they're bringing out all these tools so that you as a Cardano developer or aspiring Cardano developer can start using them and building and shortcutting your way through building a dApp in the Cardano ecosystem. Let's get into it.
Yeah, gotta do it like that. You've been listening to the Learn Cardano podcast. Gotta get it hype. Crypto is what we like, but this is not investment or financial advice. Gotta do your research, cause it's risky. We know it is. This show is educational and it's informative. Crypto's the future, really, it ain't no debate.
We're going to go through some really cool developer tools that will make your life a lot easier if you're building something in the Cardano ecosystem. And I had a look at this one and had a look at the history of Martify as well. And I like what these guys have done. So Alain, welcome to the podcast.
Hello, Peter. Thanks for having me here. Very glad to be here on the podcast.
And it is really cool what you guys are developing and contributing to the Cardano ecosystem as well. Can we start a little bit about your background and how you got into blockchain and cryptocurrency, and then how you found yourself into Cardano?
Sure. So I entered the blockchain space a few years from now. I think it was 2017, 18, something like this. And really started developing, got interested really fast into how blockchains work. Started off with the basics of Bitcoin and Ethereum, how they work, how they operate. And then when I discovered Cardano, it was really a very interesting proposal for me. Everything that was around it, so peer-reviewed process and coded in a functional programming, which I had also a background in. So that was really interesting for me. And from there, when I saw the opportunity of the Plutus Pioneer program, I took it immediately, first cohort, and from there really started my active journey of being a developer on Cardano. That's where I met my today's colleagues, co-workers that are with me at Martify, so specifically Abdelkarim and Jingles, and we all met kind of in this early stages of smart contract development on Cardano, and from there we decided to continue building on Cardano. Really,
that's really, really cool. And you guys did start development of a marketplace, I recall, like a little while back now, almost a year ago. Can you tell us a little bit about the story of that and why you started with a marketplace first?
Yeah, so it started actually a bit prior to the Alonso hard fork that brought the smart contracts to Cardano. So that was like September 2021, if I remember correctly. And so at that time, we open sourced the first marketplace smart contract on Cardano. And so we were really focusing on that side of things, not really the front-end application side of things, but really providing a functional smart contract for it. And from there, we had a lot of interest coming to us from other marketplaces as well that launched not too far after that. And so we decided to continue that open source route. So a couple of months later, we open sourced the end-to-end, so including the front end of a marketplace. And the goal really wasn't to build something competitive to, well, the JPEGs and stuff. It was really to provide an example to the community that a dApp can be developed. And those examples at that time specifically were very rare. And from there, we kind of continued in that idea of providing open source tools and open source code that really will boost Cardano development. We feel that's a very important thing.
I think that's absolutely crucial. Right at this point in time, there's not much of a good developer experience, and more developer tools are needed. And the little pieces of the puzzle that you're providing at Martify really help developers fill that gap. Now, you guys have. Now, can we talk about some of your open source tools and exactly what you're building and what you're providing for the Cardano community? And let's get into the details of this.
Sure. So in terms of tools, it all started quite recently. It's been now 2 months. I don't know when this would all come out, but around September of this year, we launched our mesh library. That is a web library that is very easily installed, very lightweight, and that provides very easy developing of Cardano applications, handling both off-chain and on-chain capabilities. With this tool, more than core functionalities, we also want to provide great education around it, great documentation, great guides. So we are always trying to do the best that we can on that side, to make a library that can be used to build very complex dApps, but at the same time can be used for someone to step in Cardano development for the first time in their lives. So today we would estimate that the mesh library can be used by someone that is just has the basic skills of Web 2 development, because all the basic concepts of blockchain programming are kind of explained in our guides. Obviously, if you want to build complex dApps, you need a bit more, but that first step is very important, and we try to solve that. So that's Mesh. On top of Mesh, we've built a couple other things. We've built those React components that are more than a library, that are just like plugins that you can put in your website to have a connect wallet button, for example. And we'll recently added a delegate now button for stake pool operators to add to their website. We also have starter templates built on top of Mesh, which is a CLI tool. So in one command line, you can start various templates. I would actually love to showcase this if I can on like sharing a screen. I don't know if you can do that or not. I know there's an audio version of the podcast, so I don't know how do you want to handle that, but I could show that. And so
I would love to see that and see exactly how quick and easy it is for a developer to get into this. So go ahead and share your screen.
All right, so I will showcase the basic templates that we have right now. So our CLI tool only requires you to have Node installed, a Node.js, which is a very common web programming application. And so the command is npx create mesh app. I'm going to just make sure that I use the latest version of our CLI tool, and we're going to call it learn Cardano test, just to showcase this tool. We have several here templates ranging from the starter project, which is like a blank website with just a connect wallet button. We have the multi-sig minting template that allows you to spin up a minting website for your NFT project, for example, in just a couple of seconds. That uses multi-sig minting technology, which allows you to bypass all the inconveniences of a big mint and all the problems that occur when a lot of people are trying to mint. Well, multi-sig minting just doesn't care about that. It will be flawless anyway. And finally, we have our stake pool website template that is dedicated for SPOs, where they can host their stake pool data and add this delegate now button to their website as well. So I'm going to showcase the stake pool website. Here you can choose your tech stack for technical people. Here I'm going to use Next.js. Here either choose JavaScript or TypeScript, doesn't really matter. It depends on which one you prefer. And it's going to install it. It's going to take a couple of seconds, and then we'll be able to start it and see how it looks. So the point of this was really to provide something where code is really not needed, where you just want to spin up something very quickly and then be able to customize it as well. So if we go into that created folder and run yarn run dev, prior to that, we have to actually choose the pool that we want to delegate to. So in this case, we're going to open a code editor, and there is just one line to modify, which is the pool ID here. And in this case, let's say that we want to delegate to the to your pool, ADA Australia. So let me just pick up the ID that I have somewhere and paste it here. And then now we can actually start the project and see how it looks like. There we go. And so now on this page, we'll have this kind of basic look that you can obviously customize if you're able to. And then we are going to connect our wallet. Here I have Eternal and Nami installed, so let's try it with Eternal. So here, for the first thing, my Eternal wallet is not registered even prior to staking. It's not a registered wallet. So this button also allows you to register your address. So let me click on that. It should open up a pop-up of Eternal, obviously. So let me input my password. Oops, it's on the right. There we go. And now I am delegated to your pool. So it did two things in one, really. It did registering my address and then delegating to your pool right from this website without me having to go into Eternal to choose the pool. And so pretty soon it should show up here that on the third epoch, I'm going to be delegated to your pool. So if we take a look at the Mesh website that you can find on mesh.martify.io, we have these other templates that you can that I explained previously that you can look around, several tech stack as well. And here in these tabs, you have all the other kind of documentation and guides that we provide that you can also look around. So that would be it for the demo and the presentation of a lot of things that Mesh can do for your application.
Alain, absolutely amazing. That is very cool, very quick, very easy, especially for anyone that's used to those tech stacks. Looked like it's something that they're very familiar with. Like you said, if you're in the Web 2 space and you're used to these type of development tools, it's just an easy transition over. And you've taken care of a lot of the hard stuff. So any React developer that's competent enough in JavaScript, etc., can just take it from there and start building something really cool out of it. So I absolutely love what you guys have done and put together there. Now, this is all open source. How are you guys funding yourselves to continue this project? Is there a business model on top of this to allow you guys to keep on developing these tools for everyone?
So there are two things here. The first one is, as you said, it's open source. So ideally, what we are providing today will always remain free and open source, because we feel like it's not honest to provide great tools that are free at the beginning and that a lot of people rely on, and then several months to make it a paid feature. So whatever is being built today will remain open source. And so we are trying to build a community of developers around Mesh that will contribute to it, in addition to us at Martify contributing to it. We already had people contribute to it, whether it's small fixes on the playground or even core features. So we are gathering these contributors. So that's one thing. And the second thing about the business model and funding, well, in a smaller scale, we are aiming for a Fund 10 Catalyst proposal. Actually, two of them. So we are going to target that. We wanted to do that for Fund 9, but Mesh was kind of late to that. Unfortunately, Fund 10 was now delayed, so it kind of messes up the timeline here, but it doesn't really matter. We are going to apply for Fund 10, and we hope that we could get some funding from there. I also want to mention that We are doing some consultancy specifically for smart contract programming that we've been doing for several months now. And ideally, in the future, we would develop this consultancy side of the business, where if you need more specific things to be built with mesh, or like there are many examples, but those like kind of specific things or bigger projects that would come to us for a specific need, or well, that could be a paid feature, but the core features that you see right now on mesh will remain free and open source.
Okay, absolutely brilliant. I love that approach. That's the same approach I take my own businesses and their own tools that I build as well. It's that not superior, but high level consultancy that you can provide. Obviously, if you built all these tools, you're experts in the field. And this is just proof that you guys can do all these things. And it really stamps your experience when people see this in the ecosystem forms around you guys, and you're one of the leading providers around it. So that's absolutely brilliant. And it's really cool that other people are already contributing to the project itself. Have you seen other projects build from this starting point yet?
Yeah, so here I have 2 examples. The first one is just general, mostly NFT projects that are building using mesh. Most of them are going to come out in the next weeks or months, but we know that there are several companies that are building using mesh, projects that are building on mesh. And also we are partners with the DAOZ team, and they are... so if you've heard of them, they have this course, the PPBL, where they have regular courses and education material for students. They integrated mesh into this course. One of the courses is around mesh, and they have around 70 students for that course in particular. And so most of them actually already built applications with mesh and used it, and some of them also contributed to mesh. So that was also very cool to see. The education part of mesh is very important, and that's why we're also partners with a company like Gimbal Labs.
That's amazing. That's absolutely amazing. So is there much documentation around all the bits and pieces that you have at the moment? I'm just looking at the getting started and the guides and just flicking through some of this stuff here, and it looks like there is a lot of documentation. Like it's looking pretty good.
Yeah, if you go to so you have those guides and starter templates. That's really kind of the entry points. But if you're already familiar with mesh and want to dive deeper into it, you have all these other tabs. So wallet, transaction, providers, and utilities, where you actually have a more detailed description of kind of every function that mesh can handle. And also, in addition to acting as guides, this playground is also a live demo of every single one of these functions. So if you go, for example, in the transaction tab and go to each one of these tabs, really, for each function, you have on the right side, on the right-hand side, you have a testing environment where you can test it with your current installed wallets. We also wanted to put that in addition to written descriptions of each function, because it's all that more intuitive to test it right now before you implement it in your website. And so, yes, we have those clear defined docs. We are working on them, and the community also helps in that regard to add more and more functions to this documentation, because right now not every single one of the function is documented, but most of them are. So we're trying to keep up with the development of the functions as we add them. We also try to add them to the documentation. And so, we also wanted to point out that this documentation isn't static. There is also this part of you trying and live those functions with your wallets.
That is really cool. I love how you've got the documentation interactive. I'm just having a little play around with it here, and it's very nice documentation. It's very well put together. It's probably a really good standard. So I absolutely love that. Okay, You guys have got a lot here for the Cardano community, and I love what you're contributing, and the partnerships with like Gimbal Labs to bring out the education material and really like spawn a ecosystem around this. Is there anything else that people that are starting development on Cardano need to know to be able to build their dApps and start writing smart contracts within the Cardano ecosystem?
I think one thing to know is that everything in Cardano everything is not centered around Haskell, right? If when you're developing a dApp. I think that's a misconception that a lot of people have coming from outside of Cardano and hearing that you absolutely need to learn Haskell. Haskell is very important, obviously, specifically if you're trying to understand how Cardano works in details, how it's coded, etc., obviously. But if you want to develop a dApp, it's not a necessity. There are a lot of, there are now a few alternatives that are being developed. PluTS from Harmonic Labs that we are also partners with. We partnered with them to build another starter template that is going to be released soon, which is the marketplace template where an NFT project or anyone really can spin up their own NFT marketplace. And the contract would be compiled with PluTS, so written in TypeScript, with the same guarantees as a Haskell written smart contract, or Plutus written, I should say. And so, but there's also Aiken that is being developed, and I believe Helios as well. So there are alternatives to Haskell. So that's the first thing I would say. Do not focus on Haskell if you don't actually need it. And so from there are a lot of tools that you can start off with. We have our starter templates that are also working in combination with the Demeter tools from TXPipe. So if you look around on our website and go to one of the starter templates and go all the way down to where you see the command for you to install it, you'll also see a Demeter button in pink. And so if you click there, it will launch this starter template in a Demeter.run environment, which is really cool if you want to use that as well as your cloud service on Cardano. So there is this, and all the tools from TXPipe are great as well, I would say.
Absolutely amazing. You're making this developer environment so much easier. And you know, last year there was so much focus on Haskell and Plutus. And I can't believe now, like just after a year, we can write smart contracts in TypeScript as well. So, you know, that's such a big leap. And I did talk to the guys at TXPipe as well, did an interview with them about Aiken and Demeter and everything that they're building around that ecosystem as well. So absolutely amazing. Absolutely love where the ecosystem has evolved to for developers at the moment. And thank you so much for your contributions to the Cardano ecosystem as well. I hope from this, like so many brand new dApps start growing and start being developed in the Cardano ecosystem.
Yeah, we hope as well. And we are excited to see what people will be building with all these new tools now. So, yeah.
Yep. So I'll leave it with this. How do you see the future of Cardano in 2023?
Ooh, that's a big question. I think the most important thing for Cardano right now, if we are focused on developer, because I'm not going to talk about the other things that I'm less involved with, I think just improving on these tools, making them accessible and educating people to them. Because again, as I said, a year ago, a lot of people were thinking that it's Haskell or nothing for Cardano, and still to this day, a lot of people think that. And so it's all about education and talking about all these tools, all these alternatives. I think a big part will also be decentralization. We need to, there's a basic example, but right now the only node that is running is from IOG. If we can have all the implementations of the Cardano node, for example, that would be a first step. But it works also for marketplaces. Right now, there's only one marketplace that is having a huge share, and they are doing a great job. I'm not saying that they are doing a bad job, but for the sake of decentralization, it would be great if we have several great options. And so things like that, decentralization will be very important. And that also comes with education. People need to know what is a decentralized app, because again, decentralized app has become also a kind of a buzzword that every blockchain app is using, but isn't actually decentralized. They're just building on the blockchain. That doesn't mean they are decentralized. So yeah, I think education is going to be a huge part. And again, from our part, that's why we're partnering with Gimbal Labs. That's why we're also partnering with the Emergo Academy to provide all these courses and education material that we are hoping will help everyone in Cardano, outside of Cardano, to learn about this ecosystem.
All right. Absolutely amazing. Alain, thank you so much for joining me on this podcast. It's been a pleasure learning about everything that you guys are building, the developer ecosystem as well on Cardano. And 2023 is going to be an amazing year for Cardano, I think. So I'm very excited to be here.
Yeah, thank you very much. I would really appreciate it talk about these topics here. So yeah, thank you very much.
Hope you guys got something out of this. I know I surely did. All the links down below for you for their GitHub repo, their website, and everything else around it. You can contact the team, Alain, and everyone else around there so you can learn a little bit more about what they're doing for the Cardano ecosystem. If you need a development team, contact them. They're open for business as well, so check out what they have to offer. Now, if you got something out of this and you really enjoyed it, please check out the playlist for all the development tools in the Cardano ecosystem in the top right-hand corner there. And if you love this episode, please give me that thumbs up, click subscribe, click that notification bell, and I'll see you in the next video.
Yeah, gotta do it like that. You've been listening to the Learn Cardano podcast. Gotta get it hype. Crypto is what we like, but this is not investment or financial advice. Gotta do your research, cause it's risky. We know it is. This show is educational and it's informative. Crypto's the future, really, it ain't no debate.